Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Why We Vote. Happy Friday to everybody. Joined by the one and only Ashe Ep. How you doing, Ash?
A little annoyed, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. You go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, so just literally 2 seconds ago, as the intro was playing, we got word from Patrick Byrne's team that he has a conflict and can't make it. So we don't have a show plan, which is fine because we can talk about elections all day, every day, no matter what. But literally just now.
Well,
confirmed multiple times and et cetera, et cetera. It's fine. Whatever. It's basic respect.
Yeah, no, it happens. Stuff happens.
Yeah. It is what it is.
We didn't see that coming. And we do have a contingency plan.
I'm pretty sure I said earlier in the week, like if he shows up, because I don't know if it's actually going to happen. And then I felt like kind of a dick for saying that. Now I don't feel like a dick anymore.
Yeah, me too. I do have good news though. I do have good news. I am a rock star and called in a very special favor. And we are going to be joined by a guest here shortly.
Excellent.
Because they are badass. And you guys are going to get tonight the very first interview with one of President Donald J. Trump's RICO co-defendants in the Fulton County case, the man who knows the story that went down in Fulton County. We've got Harrison Floyd joining us here shortly. So we're still fighting, man. We are still fighting. Harrison Floyd's going to be jumping on here shortly. I texted him as the intro was playing, and he said, I'll be there, brother.
Thank you, Harrison.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. So while we're waiting for him to jump on, let's go ahead and talk about some of our fine sponsors here at Badlands Media. First up, guys, Stack Sats with River, the Bitcoin-only platform built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Why River? Because they've got zero-fee reoccurring buys. You can stack Bitcoin effortlessly, hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. 3.5% Bitcoin interest on cash with FDIC insurance, no minimums, and you can withdraw at any time. Expert US-based support, human help, right? We always want the human help, right? And private client service for the big buys over $100,000. That's not me, so good luck with that. Business accounts, you can boost your balance sheet with Bitcoin and earn that 3.5% interest on paid in Bitcoin. And you'll get top-tier wallets where you can send, receive, and manage your Bitcoin securely with unmatched security, full reserve custody, multi-sig cold storage, and proof of reserves. Join the Bitcoin revolution at badlandsmedia.tv/river and earn real returns. Again, that's badlandsmedia.tv/river. And I think Bitcoin took a little dip today, so good time to stock up and reload. To the moon, baby, to the moon.
Let's go.
All right, and then let's check out our next sponsor for tonight's show. We got mypillow.com.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest Made in America sale ever. We just put huge discounts on products made right here in the USA. MyPillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, bolster pillows, all made with my patented adjustable fill. Mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And now we're expanding our USA products beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now available in both men's and women's. We even have USA-made socks. And are you tired of being tired? Try our new health beverage, Rev 7. Or how about my coffee, the greatest coffee ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get deep discounts on all these products. Plus, for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
All right, mypillow.com, promo code Badlands. Check them out.
Get the mattress topper. It's the best sleep game in town. My Pillow mattress topper, mypillow.com, promo code Badlands.
Oh man.
And pillows, slippers, sheets, all the things, but the mattress topper is my favorite.
Do you remember what was it? When President Trump, like after the Fulton County RICO came down and President Trump was out there throwing around the football at a tailgate party, and Chris's famous words, "This guy looks so indicted. He looks so totally indicted." Yeah, this guy looks like he's totally worried about Navy warships blowing him up.
Please. Yes, please. Listen to me. Yes, please. Peace forever. Peace forever. Peace forever.
Heat drop.
Esto se llama lenguaje.
RT just put that out, and I saw that as we were going live, and I was like, man, that looks like a guy who's really worried. So
yeah, man. Well, according to the latest narrative, he's running the entire world. So what does he have to be worried about, right?
Yeah, that's a shame, man. I don't know that we'll get this interview now, because that's something I really wanted to hit on, because there is a lot that's being said right now about this, and we kind of have talked about it in the past, and I don't know why there's like this focus now on that aspect of the Venezuela right now, but this Smartmatic op that's going on there. Smartmatic has been a globalist company for over a decade now.
Yeah.
Like it's no longer, it never was a Venezuelan company. It was registered in Florida, and it was, registered in Delaware, incorporated in Delaware, headquartered in Florida. Now, granted, yeah, their first contract was Venezuela in 2004, and the Venezuelan government did buy or fund a company called Bizta to develop the software. So there's no question that there's Venezuelan influence on it. But all of that ended in 2014, allegedly. I mean, look, there's absolutely no question that our the election machines are absolutely 100% capable of corrupting elections, and most likely 99% likely have throughout the world, including the United States. So
it's not news, though. It's not breaking news. It's not breaking news that our election systems are founded in Venezuela. It's not breaking news that those systems and code were used to rig elections in the Philippines and that they got tossed out of that fucking country. It's not news that the Democrats were well aware of Venezuelan connections to Dominion Voting and its predecessor companies. Back in 2010. John Bonifaz wrote a letter to it's up on NIST still to this day, detailing the Venezuelan influence in U.S. elections back before Trump was in office, right in the middle of the Obama, way before. Yeah, and so this, what's breaking now? We have a whistleblower. We have this, Carvajal guy, the Intel chief, now says it's totally super duper true, but nobody wants to listen to him. Like there's. I mean, I don't know. We can revisit this topic at another time, because we have an incredible guest. Unfortunately, I don't think he's, driven a catamaran into a storm and defeated, a triple hurricane or anything like that. But he is a fucking badass, and we love him, and we're happy he's here. What's up, Harrison?
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. How are you doing? How's life?
I'm doing good.
Harrison, can I just first and foremost be the first person? I think we are the first podcast to get you on since the RICO was dropped. So we want to give you a heartfelt congratulations, brother.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the language, but it's warranted. How are you feeling?
I'm not sorry for the language.
I'm good, man. And where else should I come for the first one? Great being here with you, man, fellow Marine. Ash, thank you so much. It feels good. You're the first podcast. I did a radio interview with Shelley Winter in Georgia. He was just checking in, and that was super quick, though. We didn't do a deep dive into anything, but it feels good. Feels good. Feels different, I'm not tired of winning yet, so
that's awesome.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. You know, Harrison, we've had I've got Travion's going to be coming on my show here coming up. Kathy Latham, we're going to get her as well. Like, we want to get all your stories now that the burden has been lifted off of you guys. We're dying to hear. You know, there's so many blanks to be filled in on all the shenanigans that have taken place over the last 2 or 3 years with you guys. Let's start out, Harrison. Just give, like, if you can, like a quick overview of who you are and what you've gone through over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so hello to everyone out there. My name's Harrison Floyd. I'm an Army brat, served in the Marine Corps for a little while, got into politics in the military. And in 2020, I worked on the president's re-election campaign. I led all the Black outreach and helped launch the Veteran Coalition. And then after the 2020 election, we saw how all that went down. It was told that there was an election worker who was needing some help, got on the phone with that individual, and ended up from that being indicted in the Georgia RICO case with the president and the FBI showing up at my door and assaulting me and my daughter. And yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy ride.
That's nuts, man. So Harrison, like, I don't know where you want to begin with this. I guess, you kind of got into the scene with the RICO case revolved around, the events that took place at the Cobb County Police Department. So maybe the build up to how you got there and how, the person, I mean, I guess we can say her name, the lawsuit, happy stuff going on. So
yeah, Ruby Freeman. I'll say it. I couldn't say it before, or else I would have linked up again.
The shit's put you through a ringer, man. That you went through a ringer over something that was, and I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah. So first, let me preface it by saying, now that I can actually speak, it was really difficult watching a lot of the conversation and the narratives going on and not being able to say anything because it was like, you're chasing the wrong rabbit. Because, sometimes when people, because of hypocognition and stuff going on in the media, people hear some of the same things over and over and over. That's what they start to believe. And reality, things that otherwise, if you really thought about it was common sense, just totally goes right by you. So I'm going to challenge a little bit of that. And sorry if you don't believe me or whatever, but this is just the way that it is. So, what happened was, I led Black Voices for Trump, and it was just after the new year in 2021, and I was hearing a lot, getting phone calls, text messages about Ruby Freeman. People saw her, know her from the suitcases underneath the table, and people were asking me if I had spoken to her and that she was trying to get in touch with someone at the White House, or she was trying to get a message to the president, right? And I was the Black, quote unquote, Black, guy leading the Black outreach. So people were asking me if I had spoken to her, or what was going on, because there was a lot in the ether. And at the time I hadn't, then I got a phone call from a pastor who had worked with FBI, DHS, a lot of high level agencies as a spiritual component, doing proffer arrangement, proffer agreements. So, for anyone who isn't aware, if there's someone who has evidence and they want a deal or something like that, you have to show or tell that somebody that you have proof of this. And so he was typically that intermediary. And so he said, I went to Ruby's house. I tried to speak to her. I've been hearing some of the same things that you have. She won't talk to me. She won't talk to anyone who's white. She's scared of white people in Georgia, right? I think she's born 1940 something, 1950 something. So this is around height of civil rights, Brown versus Board of Education, a lot of racism down there in Georgia. So yeah, okay, it makes sense to me. And he asked if I could intervene, if I would help, if I would have a conversation or see what she needed. And I said, yeah, that's not a problem, right? It's a man of the cloth coming and asking me to do a good thing to help somebody, right? And so I could not physically go to Georgia because at the time my wife and I were separated. After the Tulsa rally, I had gotten COVID along with Herman Cain. He ended up passing away. But my wife and I had just had our daughter at the time. She was like 2 months old, and my wife wanted me to leave the campaign. I didn't want to because it's just everything that was going on. I couldn't, and I didn't want to be the reason that things fell through. So my wife and I were separated. I was trying to fix that. It wasn't a good idea for me to get on a plane and go to Georgia to still do election stuff after I was done with the campaign. And so I asked a friend, hey, you're down in Georgia working on the Purdue campaign. Can you go talk to her? She said yes. She went and knocked on the door. Ruby at the time was under FBI protection. So she had police cars and stuff going around her house checking on her. She had an FBI agent she was talking to regularly. So the FBI cleared us to meet with her. They cleared us to have this conversation. She went to the police station where she
hold on. People need to understand what you just said right there, because this is the crux of all the charges that were levied against you. The FBI cleared that conversation.
Correct. So if you watch the body cam footage from the conversation towards the beginning, TK asks the police agent or police officer if they would leave, because it was a conversation between two private citizens. Excuse me, and there were federal people who were involved with this. Those are the FBI agents. That's what she's talking about, is FBI. And so they cleared the conversation, cleared us to meet with her. We had the conversation, and then a lot of it was captured on body cam. There were some things that weren't. And I let Ruby know, hey, if this is serious, I need to know, ASAP if you want to go forward with this. And the very next day, I want to say, within 24 to 48 hours, the FBI told her, well, it was definitely within 48 hours, because that conversation happened on January 4th. Within 24 to 30 something hours, the FBI told her that she needed to leave her house for safety reasons, because January 6th was coming and they didn't want anything bad to happen to her, is what they told her. And what is in her her testimony for the January 6th committee, I can't remember the page number, but it's like question 13, line 23 is like, the question is on line 13. Her answer is on like line 23 or something like that. But she says the FBI told me January 6th was coming and not to be there. How did the FBI know on January 5th that January 6th was going to happen?
The same way DHS knew to recruit Jeremy Brown out of Tampa, Florida in December for January, an event in January.
Right. So then so she's nowhere to be found, couldn't offer her any help. I just dropped it. I was like, all right, well, it was a conversation we had. She didn't want to come forward in official capacity. It is what it is. And then about a year later, Reuters dropped an article about that meeting and that conversation, and I was getting blown up from all different reporters and news outlets. And then I just knew, I was like, this is it. This is what happened with General Flynn. This is, now I'm about to get roped into it. They got their eyes set on me because this conversation happened. And FBI showed up at my house in March of 2023. And the agents they never showed me a badge. They never, they didn't look like they were in an official capacity. They forced entry into my apartment building that was secured. As I was walking up the stairs, it felt like they were pulling me back or stepping on my feet. And I was carrying my daughter, who was 2 at the time, and she was wet because we just came back from swim practice. And it was just nuts. It was crazy. And then, but according to the CNN, I body slammed 2 FBI agents, straight Hulk Hogan off the top rope.
There's video of this, right? Of this interaction?
No, so there's no video. They were wearing wires, and that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole other thing. But they alleged that I assaulted them, and I was arrested for that. And then the state of Maryland dropped the charges. The federal government picked them back up, like not even 2 weeks later, and made it a federal charge. And then when I went down to Fulton County, that was the charge that they used to hold me in Fulton County jail and call me a flight risk. And so, just long story short, my case in particular shows the full coordinated effort and all the different puzzle pieces that went together with this lawfare at the highest level between Fani Willis, Jack Smith, the FBI, the January 6th committee, and the Biden White House. Because the day after the FBI came and had me arrested, Fani Willis made an appointment to meet with Kamala Harris at the White House. And 2 months prior to that, I'm sorry, I know I'm a little bit scattered all over the place. 2 months prior to that, Fani had tried to subpoena me to participate in her grand jury party. I was unavailable. I didn't live anymore where she was trying to subpoena me at. And so what happens when you can't cross state lines? The feds got involved. And when Jack Smith and the FBI agents charged me and subpoenaed all the documents and evidence that I had related to Georgia, Jack Smith didn't press charges or indict me with the whole election stuff that he indicted President Trump with. And if I should have gotten indicted anywhere for anything, it would have been with Jack Smith federally, because when the phone call with Ruby Freeman took place, I was physically in Maryland. I was on the phone. So it doesn't make sense for me to be charged with a crime in Georgia when I wasn't even there, right? And here's the other kicker. So the media tried to make it look like I'm the guy sitting next to TK in the police station with Ruby.
It's Travion is who you're talking just for the
Her name's Travion Cootie. Everyone calls her TK. But that's Garrison Douglas, not Harrison Floyd, right? Garrison was the communications director for Governor Kemp in Georgia, right? So how do I get charged with this, right? And I'm in Maryland, but then the guy who's physically sitting there next to TK who got charged didn't get charged, and he works for the governor. Come on, guys. Like,
sounds a bit asymmetrical.
Right? 100%. So it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess.
So you were actually the only defendant in that case that was held. And how long were you held for? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I want to say it's like almost a week, like a work week, 5 days, 6 days, something like that.
Yeah. And you were held in the Fulton County prison, which I remember writing, there was a lot of that. It's not a clean place. It is an absolutely heinous prison. There's been numerous inmates that have died there. One guy died of bed bugs. Like, he died from being eaten by bed bugs.
Yeah. So I think right before I went in, like maybe 2 weeks prior, there was an inmate who died. And then like literally not even a week or two after I came out, another one passed away. And we raised some money to try to get some folks out. And not the best place in the world. I remember when I first came in, there's the guy as I'm walking in, as I'm looking at the cell that I'm about to go into, the guy to the right of me had feces like smeared everywhere. There's just shit everywhere. And then and they like pulled him out and like hosed it down. It was real gross. And then my first morning that I woke up in there, I woke up to the sounds of this guy going, "Oh, please stop, no." They were tasing this guy in the cell next to me. And that's what woke me up my first morning in there. And I quickly realized, okay, all right, I am not in a place to mess around. And I immediately kind of like went back to like, being in the Marine Corps and like, okay, all right,
lights.
Yeah, be around it. Be aware of your surroundings at all times.
I just want to point out real quick, because every time I bring this up, Travion has the greatest mugshot in the history of mugshots.
True.
And that is just the most epic mugshot. It's second to none. President Trump's is definitely in second, but Travion wins the mugshot contest.
Yeah. Corinne Rankin called me the day before I went in, or like 2 days before. She's the chair or vice chair of the California GOP. And she was like, "Look, Harrison, remember, like, people are going to see this, and, you know, professional, like, don't give these liberals something to go more after. And I tried to do what I thought was like a good one, try to look very, you know, but I'm not photogenic. It just doesn't work.
So Harrison, there's been a lot of controversy. You know, somebody was able to acquire the body cam footage from Cobb County of the police officer that was kind of in the vicinity. But a lot of it is it's inaudible, some of it, you know. And you know, I don't know if you're down to try and clear up some of the things that were said in that, because you know, if you listen to the clips that have been released, and I've listened to them probably 100 times, and it sure sounded like she wanted to cooperate. Like, that's the impression I got. Am I off base on saying that?
No, not at all. So she, and I've listened to it multiple times. My attorneys had me listening to it to try to remember as much as I could. She, to be very clear, she was not really worried about the ballot situation anymore because they had cleared her of that. She was more concerned about this new talk that was coming about this USB drive, which she later claimed was a ginger mint. She told me something totally different, but that was her concern. And why she was concerned about it was in the lead up to with the ballots, no one was really talking to her about it. She was seeing everything play out in the media. So the secretaries, according to her, and as I remember our conversation, the Secretary of State's office really didn't do an investigation. They didn't ask her thoroughly about the fraud. She was just like cleared of it, but no one was talking to her. And now there's this new thing about this USB, and she wanted to make sure that was cleared too. But she thought the county didn't care about her and that they would gladly let her fall under the bus under this. And so that's what she was mostly concerned about, because she had seen how everything had played out behind the scenes, but also in front of the world, and what everybody was being told and what people were being told wasn't really transpiring behind the scenes, and there was just this whole mess. And so that's what a large part of the conversation was about. Was she was never offered an attorney. She wasn't talking to any attorneys. No one had offered her an attorney, and she was trying to be careful what she was saying, but she knew that she needed help. And so that was where a lot of the conversation went. I did ask her about the ballots. I did ask her about, you know, what everyone had seen and if those were honest ballots, and we had that conversation, but that wasn't her main concern.
So, you know, one of the things, obviously, there's the late night count, and, you know, I've watched the video second by second and documented everything throughout the day, not just the late night events that happened there. And
the water main break, you mean?
Yeah, from the water main break all the way through the normal counting during the day, when they dismissed everybody at night and everybody left, and, you know, a handful of people stayed behind and continued counting. You know, whether or not you think there was anything that was, you know, not on the up and up in that situation, the fact is they did pull ballot containers out from under tables. They did cut the blue safety ties that were on the boxes. This is on film. Okay. They did cut them. They did take them out, and they did have her scanning, and she was not authorized to scan. There's a process you have to go through. You have to be sworn in order to be, and trained in order to operate a scanner. And she says that in the video. I don't scan. You know, she says, my daughter told me to scan. Can you add to that?
So, yeah. So that speaks, I think, entirely to just the problem period, which is no one really knows the truth. We're seeing one thing with our eyes on video. We're being told another thing by people who are supposed to be sworn elected officials who are supposed to be doing the right thing. And then there's this conflict here. And then in the middle, there should be some sort of resolution, some sort of clarity, something that should make sense. Even that doesn't make sense. And then even after all that, no one's being held accountable, right? Like, a lot of people should have gotten fired just because we haven't been able to get to like a clear answer. And we're talking about a federal election here, right? That impacts more than just the state of Georgia, right? A lot of people forgot that it wasn't just the presidential election 2020 that was important. There was also a Senate seat, a special election for Johnny Isaacsen's seat. And because both those seats that were previously Republican flipped, it gave Democrats the majority in the Senate.
Yep.
And gave Democrats the trifecta with Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. So Georgia just didn't disenfranchise, right?
They doubled down.
Right? Like they disenfranchised the entire country, right? And in the Senate. So I think, to your point, we found like over 300 and something procedural errors, right? That even after their recount and their investigation, they didn't account for, right? Like it's a mess. How are these people still in charge of this?
That's an excellent question. Why are these people still walking around breathing free air?
Right.
That's my question.
If they were black and Republican, they sure wouldn't be.
Yeah, they'd be locked up in a RICO case spread across the country, or spread across the state, excuse me, putting all this together. And it still blows my mind that, the only charge against you was what was the exact conspiring with or coercing a witness?
So I had 3 charges. I had the least charges of everybody, actually. It was the RICO case, the RICO charge, and I learned that in order to get the RICO charge, you had to have 2 other charges, right? And so mine were pressuring, it was solicitation of a false statement, and then what was the other one? It was solicitation of a false statement, and then I want to say like pressuring a witness or something like that. But how could she be a witness if she was cleared of any wrongdoing? You see what I'm saying? Like it didn't make sense, and so none of it makes sense, and there's a reason why, because the FBI was involved, and very powerful people in Georgia didn't do what they said that they were doing, and they don't want to be held accountable. So
you had when you were allegedly breaking the law in a case that was unprecedented, charging a former president and the future president, presidential candidate, you, Harrison Floyd, were brazen enough to break the law in front of police officers in a police station with a woman who was sitting, with her own free will,
right,
sitting there talking with you guys. It's the most bonkers thing you could ever imagine.
Especially coming from Democrats, right? Like these are people who say that black people in America are being hunted down and murdered by police and law enforcement like deer. But
my son's teacher actually said that in a class. He was junior in high school, I think, at the time of 2020, and it was he came home and told me that this happened in class. The teacher and her aide were talking in front of the class. All cops are bastards and hunting black people in the streets.
Okay, so that's what Democrats believe, but in the same breath, I went into a police station, or allegedly was in a police station or on a phone call in a police station in the middle of the night in Georgia in the deep South, harassing and pressuring and committing crimes in a police station. And then, oh, by the way, a couple months later, I'm body slamming at federal agents. When in the history of ever has a black man assaulted, or just anybody really, assaulted federal agents, right? Physically assaulted them, walked away, had nothing happen, and then 10 hours later they get arrested for it and charged with a simple misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Come on, it doesn't make sense. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? So
you were the only one held, right?
Yeah. And then I'm the only one whose bond she tried to revoke.
Yeah.
Well, oh man, I want to play this clip and see if there's anything more that you can clarify on this.
More so because we all know the county don't care about that. But the other part, that cleared the count. They cleared my name as far as the ballot. But the other part, the USB port, that's a totally different thing. And to me, the county don't care about clearing that because that was something I had in my name. So they say that's personal. Even though the county said, the ballot was right, we all of it. And that's where I want to attorney, because I know that my name needs to be clear with that.
So, I mean, very inaudible there. Have you ever seen the video that they're talking about where the handoff took place?
Gingerment?
Yeah, I believe I did. And they said in the January 6th hearing that it was a gingerment.
Wasn't that what they said it was, Brian? A gingerment or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the actual video.
And the guy was like stretching or something.
Yeah. So you're gonna see here the guy walks up. He narrates it.
He stands around for a little bit. You see Shay starts to look around as her mom reaches back. So right here, she starts to reach back. You're going to see Shay start maneuvering, eventually look in this direction to see if anybody is watching. You're going to see him looking in that direction as well. So there she goes. They're both looking this way. She's reaching right here. She just grabs something. She's looking over here. He's looking out there. She just grabs something right here. Right? Clearly something in her hand right there. Grabs it. Her hand curls up. Holds it. Turns around. Puts it in her chair. You see this? He's constantly looking. She's looking. They don't realize there's a camera right behind them. It's in her hand right here. She keeps turning. She's concealing it. She looks back at him, gives him the key to move forward. Right? She still has it right here. This whole time, his hands are in his pockets. He starts to do the stretch where, you put your arms up. Starts to do that stretch. She stands up, takes it from in her hand right here. As he takes his hands out of his pockets, you see her reach around and slide it into his pocket. So he does the fake yawn, the fake stretch, the middle school, I'm going to put my arm around you during the movie. Fake stretch right here. You see her hand coming up, slides it right in there. Now let's look again. You see her hand, not just.
All right. We don't have to, play the whole thing out there, but I mean, I
feel like I could have done that so much smoother.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. If it was a gingerman, and I'm not saying it's not, that's what they testified to under oath. There's food all over that place. There's drinks all over that place. Like, why are you being so secretive about a gingermint?
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes when you, especially in that heightened sort of like our senses, like the environment, everything was just like at a 10 at that time, right? So sometimes like you're looking for something that you think is there or you get what I'm saying, that isn't really there, kind of like with magic, right? Like you're looking at one thing and then something else is happening. I wasn't there. I don't know. What I do know is that Ruby Freeman was born in like 1940 something, early 1950 something, right? Like in the middle of right when Brown versus Board of Education happened, around the same time as my dad. And my dad did not start kindergarten on time because they refused to integrate schools. That was the time when Ruby Freeman was coming up in school and going to school, right? She does not have, I spoke to her for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, I want to say. She does not have the intellectual capacity to rig a federal election. Her and her daughter, I'm telling you, are just not smart enough to do that. And not only that,
to be the mastermind strategist, are they smart enough to play a role in it?
I don't know if they were I don't know, and I'm not saying they were witting or unwitting participants in any sort of election fraud. What I'm saying is that a lot of people saw that video, saw her pulling suitcases out, and saw alleged social media posts, right, saying that these two individuals sabotaged the election, like pointing the finger at them. They're not smart enough to do that. Not only that, there are too many checks and processes and procedures, right, that have to take place where two people, no one can do it just on their own like that. Now, could they have been mules, or could there be a larger thing and they were like caught somewhere in the middle? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't in Fulton County. I was in Maryland, right? But what I do know and what I can say is that, and what I was told and what I believe to be true, is that elected officials who were supposed to trust didn't do what they were supposed to do. They lied to people of the country. It had an impact in our government, and it's not right, and it has not been fixed, and it needs to be fixed. There's just, this whole situation speaks to the psychology of our country, to our politics, and a real need for change, not just politically, but also in our criminal justice system. And so, the 2020 election is gone, 2022, 2024, we're going into 2026, we're going into these midterms. That is where I am most focused. That's where I want to be, add value, try to help out, along with other people who are being negatively impacted in the justice system.
Yeah, and that's one of the dead giveaways for me. That's something, and I'm not saying specifically with these two individuals, but just broadly in Fulton County and in Georgia as a whole, was the amount of lawfare that you saw result from this. An unprecedented case brought against a former president. And I'm sure you know this. Your attorneys. One of the moment I said, and Ash was on the show with me, the moment I said, when your attorney stood up and said, "What if we prove Trump won? Then the case goes away." And that episode, I said, this case will never go to trial. Never go to trial, because I knew what your attorneys were going for. I knew what would happen if those subpoenas, if they had to fulfill those subpoenas, the election records, the physical paper ballots, all that information that they were requesting and that they were fighting tooth and nail to prevent your attorneys from being able to get discovery on those things, told me all I needed to know about what was going on in Georgia. And you were a victim of this.
And they're also, Harmeet and the DOJ said they want to see the ballots now, and they're fighting tooth and nail against them as well. What's gone on with the election board in the state of Georgia is an absolute travesty. When you really look at the checks and balances that we're supposed to have, how they're just not there, it goes to show. I think this situation with our election also highlights and goes to show that the problems from the civil rights era, when there's a lot of disenfranchisement of Black votes based on race, it never went away, right? It shifted from race to now it's political ideation, your political ideology, right? Where you sit on the political fence. They're still doing the same thing. And it's happening at all levels. And the fact that, the state election board and, what the state legislators done and the Secretary of State's office, they cannot handle this on their own. It's very clear, right? And we need to have a solution to this. And it's not just in Georgia. I think it's also in Arizona and in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And, when you start adding these states up and their electoral college votes, you can very clearly see how, if 4 or 5 Secretary of States get together and decide they want to do a thing, how that can totally change presidential election. So my big thing now is we got to figure out what this looks like going forward, because nothing has been done to actually fix the problem. you still have the same people sitting in the same seats who have not been held accountable, and people like Tina Peters are sitting in jail, and it's just
Prison.
I'm sorry, prison. Yeah, it's not right.
Yeah, it's not right. It's not right. The thing, so, Brian mentioned your attorney's approach to what if we prove that it was stolen, right? And during that case, there was a significant amount of stuff that was gotten on the record. In just the brief, appearances that were done in that case, we got, information about ballots and ballot images. We got information about signature verification that wasn't done. The signature verification thing was hilarious too, when they were like, it's going to take however many, 6 years of time or whatever. However many hours.
How did you do it? Right.
How'd you do it?
The election, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And we saw, what happened there confirmed what happened in Maricopa with signature verification that we saw in the Kerry Lake case. And my point on this is there is a record. There is an official under oath record in state and federal courts around the nation where the witness testimony, the evidence that's been presented, the decisions of the courts based on it should be able to be combined into some sort of action to do something about elections. But we see this sort of paralysis, and you're 100% right. Nothing has been done to restore election integrity. Nothing. We have an executive order that sounds good, right? We have some people claiming that it's now Harmeet and others claiming that it's now a priority to focus on these things. We're told that weaponized government is a priority and that that's going to be investigated, but we don't see change happening in any meaningful way on the ground in the states. Not that the feds can do that, but there are levers they can press to drive change in the states, and we don't see that happening. We see a lot of narratives about a lot of things having to do with elections, right? Some of them in the US and some of them in other countries, but we don't see meaningful action happening, and it's getting real old.
So a part of the problem is definitely the federalism, right, and the inability of the federal government to tell some of these states how they're going to do things and what they're going to do. I had a conversation with someone over in the admin committee that they run elections, and they were asking me my thoughts on some of the solutions, and I definitely think that some of these states just have shown that they can't handle it, right? Federal elections impact the entire country, and similar to after the Civil Rights Act, how some states had to be monitored for violations, civil rights violations, and racist disenfranchisement of votes. I think some states just need some sort of oversight. But the other thing is, even when these actors are, either if it's being just nefarious or negligent, the courts should be a place where we can go and be able to get some sort of timely resolution. And the fact that we have activist judges who are, not calling strikes, not calling balls, that's a whole nother problem. I haven't put this out, I probably should. I need to go through the discovery and find this. If you look at my subpoena for Fani Willis's grand jury, right? Judge McBurney is the one who signed off on it.
He gets all the good cases,
right? Somehow this guy, right? If you look at the top part of the subpoena, it has my name and my dad's name on it, actually. And then if you look at the body of the actual subpoena, where they're saying why they want to subpoena me and everything that took place, it's literally Lindsey Graham's subpoena. It is Lindsey Graham's subpoena with McBurney's signature on the bottom with my name at the top. So either he didn't read the subpoena and is just signing off on whatever Fani wanted him to sign, or it's a fraudulent subpoena that these prosecutors just, you get what I'm saying, like try to, and it literally makes no sense. So how is this guy still on the bench and getting these cases?
Yeah.
Do you mean like word for word?
Word for word, bro. I'm gonna go find it and I'm gonna tweet it.
Please do.
It is my name it's my name and my dad's name, right? And then it has Lindsey. It literally says Senator Lindsey Graham. It is his subpoena. The only thing that's not the same on it is his name should be at the top with McBurney's signature on the bottom. That's what they were doing. They were just rubber stamping everything. They just tried to bury people. They thought no one was going to look at anything, and it was going to, they were going to get people to flip, and witnesses were just going to run, and it didn't happen like that. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's how bad it is there. And so, another.
You haven't seen that before, Brian? Because I don't think we've ever reported it, but Harrison and I have definitely talked about that before.
I'm find it and send it to you.
And I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere too.
I gotta find it. I'll find it and send it to you.
So in your case, McBurney presided over the grand jury, but McAfee presided over your trial, or was going to preside over your trial, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, McAfee was the inspector general in Fulton County before he became a judge.
Correct. And he worked for Fannie. And I think it was Bob. I can't remember his last name. I'm not going to say his last name. I'm not going to say it. But Bob submitted a FOIA request to get, because after the 2020 election, Brad Raffensperger promised that they were going to do an audit. Brian Kemp and Raffensperger promised that they were going to do an audit. And they said that they brought Pro V&V in, and, one of the voting companies, Test Labs, and that they did an audit of 5 counties, and they gave them the list. Well, this guy, Bob, went and subpoenaed all the communications with the counties to see how they went about communicating, to set up the time to come in and do this audit. Now, if you read the audit, and I think Ash and I have done it on air, the Pro V&V audit is the most fundamental cookie cutter BS you've ever read in your entire life. It doesn't even list the serial numbers of the machines that they went and audited. You compare that with the Maricopa audit that they did before the Maricopa big audit, the Senate audit, and the documents significantly more in depth in Maricopa, but still woefully inadequate. So Bob goes and does FOIA requests to get all these, communications between Pro V&V and about setting up the audit. And more than half of them are nobody did an audit here. Nobody did an audit here. And so he submits that to the inspector general's office and says, hey, you need to look into this. Never looked into it, gets appointed a judge, and is presiding over your case. Oh, that wasn't the only thing that happened with him. I don't know if I could say or if I should say it, but we had a witness.
You are a free man.
Yeah. Don't tease, Harrison.
There was some other stuff with McAfee. It just wasn't on the up and up. I'll just put it that way with the governor. And so it was not good. And so, but we had a witness who was going to come forward and say it. And that would have also, a part of me is a little upset because we had so many bombs that were just like a daisy chain IED, bro. It was just going to I'm talking EFPs and all sorts of stuff. And it was going to be nasty if they went down that road. I'm talking, it was like, was it the Gauntlet in Ramadi, pre-Shake Sauter, Ambar Awakening, you just know someone's gonna get clipped running down this road. Oh, it was bad.
This is Marine stuff, I assume.
Yes,
it was bad, bro.
Harrison, do you remember what I told you when it was dropped? Do you remember what I told you?
What?
I said I'm so glad that you are cleared of all this, but I'm so pissed off that it didn't go to trial because I know what was going to come out if it went to trial. And I said, I feel like such an asshole for saying that because you guys are getting drugged through the mud on this. It's costing you guys boatloads of money. I remember when you were on Sit Rep and we tried to put out your Give Send Go and you said, no, I'm good. Put out Mike Roman's, and we put out Mike Roman's Give Send Go and fundraised for him and raised several $1,000s that night for his legal fees. But
so Mike was the first person who I spoke to when I was told gag orders off. You can talk to whoever. Because I felt so at the GOP convention in Milwaukee, I went and I was kind of tucked in this corner, making with some friends who were lawyers around me, making sure I didn't. And Mike was there, and my daughter was with me, and my daughter went up and started talking to Mike Roman. And we had this moment where we kind of looked at each other. It's kind of like Blade, when vampires see each other and they know, like, you're a vampire and I'm a vampire, and you know what I mean? And but he was speaking to my daughter, but he was speaking loudly enough for me to hear it. And great guy. He has 8 kids. Man of faith, strong Catholic guy, just being ran through the ringer, not just in Georgia, but also he was indicted in Arizona, and in what, like 10 days, I want to say. What day is today? Yeah, in 9 days he has to go turn himself in again in Wisconsin. And so
in Wisconsin, wait. In Wisconsin, I thought that's a civil case up there.
Yeah, he got indicted in Wisconsin. He has to go turn himself in Wisconsin. I don't know all the details behind it, but I was talking to him. I was like, bro, I thought that was. He's like, nah, man, I got to go turn myself in again, post bond again, go before a judge. I got to do it all over again. I'm like, bro. And so I told him if he wanted that I would come with him. And he said, no, you don't have to. It's right before Christmas, but I think I'm going to. I've been trying to work this out with my wife, figure it out with the kids. But he really inspired me. I had this litigation fund that we had fired up called the Statesman Project, and we're going to fire that back up again and support folks who are not just fighting lawfare, but also folks who have strong cases for have a civil case, right? Where we think we can help them win some awards. So Mike Roman's going to be one. Jack Brewer, who got roped in with some SEC silliness since he's been dealing with since 2016 when Obama was in office. And Tina Peters is going to be one that we've talked about supporting as well.
You mean David Becker's Election Officials Legal Defense Network isn't going to bat for the only election official that's been prosecuted and convicted? Darn! What? Come on, David. What are you doing, David Becker? It's a joke.
I was talking to some folks and said they made a joke, and they said, why wasn't Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson out there for you? And I was like, you're actually right. That is a problem. We don't have anyone on our side who can communicate, is willing to go and show up and stand next to people and even just raise awareness. And we need to get this done on our side. And so I'm not saying I'm trying to be the next Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson at the right, but I do want to help people and help people who genuinely need it. And this is a problem. And until we get governors and, more importantly, attorney generals who are going to step in and do the right thing at the right time, then someone has to make sure that these folks are supported. And if we got to take it into civil court and take money away from them, right, then we'll do that. I've been forced to play this game for the last 3 years. I've gotten a little good at it, so we'll figure that out. But I think those are going to be the first 3 that we go after starting in the new year.
Well, and moment of personal privilege, because it involves my case. I defended myself and didn't need legal funds, but one of my co-defendants hired attorneys for trial, and Harrison was instrumental in helping secure that. Harrison has been helping people fight election-related lawfare the entire time that he's been fighting his own election-related lawfare. And, you don't brag about it. You don't tell people about it. You don't run around talking about, how great you are. And, how many people, a lot of people do that, right? People have no idea the amount of impact that Harrison has had in, behind the scenes, helping regular people, not celebrity people getting rolled up, but regular people, so I don't know if you want me to share that or not, but I don't really care. I'm going to share it anyway, because it's true story. And, I adore you. I adore your family. I think you guys are fantastic. And I'm so glad that this is over and you can finally speak.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All the world needs is a humble man. And don't tell too many people that, because then they might come and start.
Yeah, you're asking for money. Yeah.
But no, everyone in my family served in the military. It's what we do. And if I know something that can help someone, I'm more than happy to share it with them, because if there's something that I want to know or want to learn, I'm a closet nerd. Then, if I want to know something and ask someone, I would hope that they would share that with me, because it's going to help make me a better person. Then I can pass that along to somebody else. So just happy to help. I'm looking forward to it. And most importantly, I'm looking forward to some change. There's a lot of people in the establishment GOP who are afraid of doing things a little bit differently, because to them, they're not comfortable with it. And you're not going to grow unless you get a little uncomfortable. We're not going to win in places like Colorado or Virginia and certain parts like North Carolina. We're not going to get traction if we're just doing the same thing, right? And so if you're too afraid to do it, then that's fine. That gives me the space to go and do it the way that I want to do it and make some change happen without having to worry about other stuff. So only other thing is, just got to make sure that I can fund it, right, to be able to do it. And so that's what we're going to tackle going into the new year. And I'm super excited about that and some other things.
So
and where can people go support?
Exactly.
Statesmanproject.com is the website. We did like a soft test thing earlier in the year, and actually 2024, just before that election, and kept it a little bit quiet, and we're going to really start ramping it up coming into the new year.
Wow. So I'm Harrison. I'm making a banner to put up with the Statesman Project link there. And the first banner that we have on our banners is please help Harrison in the battle against Lawfare. But it's not the Statesman Project. So it's the statesmanproject.com.
Yeah. Statesmanproject.com is the website.
I'm going to fix your headline in your thing, because you added a T to it, and I don't want to put people to put a T in there. So
there we go. Boom. The statesmanproject.com. Harrison, after the case was
there's no the in the URL from what I can see.
Yeah, it's just Statesman Project.
Statesman Project. Okay. Yeah.
And the goal is really three things. It's to litigate civil cases, right? Where we
should we play your video?
Sure, if you have it up.
I have it. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it in. You tell your goals, and then we'll play the video.
So it's litigating, right, and helping people win back damages, activating a network of folks who care about this and make sure that people who, over time they don't get left and forgotten, and then educating people on ways, and approaches that they can take if they become victims of lawfare weaponization.
All right.
While Ash, oh, you got it. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I got it.
Now, I got one more thing, and I'm just about done.
This is the glory. This is the victory. This is the majesty. I make the tapestry. Y'all know that misery. I know the energy. I know the strategy. Stay cool.
Amazing.
Got
it. Bucati's to you. Yeah. Don't that sound like the message you had a radio ceiling?
Boom. See, it's a little different, right? Not used
Love
to that
it.
from conservatives.
When you Harrison, when the case was dropped, have you gotten any phone calls from co-defendants? Did the president reach out? Congratulations or anything?
I saw Scott Hall last night at the Schlapp's Christmas party. I spoke to Mike Roman. I spoke to TK on the co-defendant side. I need to reach out to Kathy Latham. So thanks for reminding me of that. But co-defendant wise, like those are the folks who I've spoken to directly. I've been keeping, just my head. Oh, Burt Jones, the lieutenant governor, actually right after I came out of Fulton County jail, he was one of the first people who I spoke to, and we had a really great conversation. He's from East Atlanta. And he is going to be a great governor. I'm looking forward to going down to Georgia, and if he needs it at all, going down and supporting him and advocating for him. He will be a great guy who I think will bring some change in that state.
Heck yeah. Ash, you got any other questions? By the way, we're going to have Kathy Latham is going to be joining us next week. So she was, again, the co-defendant down in Coffee County, Georgia. Yeah, they had to tie all you guys together in this. And prior to that, like, had you had like really any conversation with? Did you even know who Kathy Latham was before that?
I did not know who Kathy Latham was. I knew who Mike Roman was. I knew obviously Trevian, and obviously the president, and Mark Meadows, and Jeffrey Clark. You know, I knew some of I knew who they were, some of the higher ones, and been around them a couple times, but I didn't have like a intimate relationship with too many of them. But we're all like bonded together now, and I feel like I hope we can do like some sort of co-defendant party or something like that. That would be really cool.
Can I get invited? I want to come and hang out with you.
For sure, man. For sure. And I really appreciate you guys and everything that you've done and hosting me on this platform multiple times to talk about what was going on and keeping this thing alive. You have no idea how important you guys are in actually all of this with the Lawfare game, because I've told people multiple times, if I wasn't indicted with the president, right, or the former president at the time, then no one would have known about me. No one would have cared about this case. The money would not have been raised for me to be able to fight this. And I would have just been like a lot of other black men who get charged with a crime and have to take a plea deal for something that they actually didn't do. Because they just don't have the funds to fight, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and then never even get anything back for it, right? Yeah. So I think that would be another good solution to this Lawfare. In Georgia, they passed a law where if a prosecutor is disqualified, they have to pay back legal fees. I think if a prosecutor doesn't get a positive termination of a case, period, if you don't get a guilty verdict, you got to pay back legal fees, period. And that would prevent a lot of these frivolous lawsuits. It would prevent them from, I think, also police officer conduct. Not all of them are bad by any means. You always have some knuckleheads, just like in the Marine Corps, right? Like everyone looks at Marines like we're great, but there's a couple of us out there that
shit bags,
right? But it's the same thing. I think it would prevent a lot of that one simple piece of legislation to get passed.
Yeah, the fee shifting is important, but to me, it's not enough. So if we're talking about getting legal fees back at the end of it, that's still a barrier to way too many people to access justice. And the process is the punishment in Lawfare. If I had to go through trial of paying attorneys to do it, I wouldn't have been able to. I would have had to take the settlement that I was being, coerced into taking. Give us $50,000 more, or we're not, or sign the consent decree, right? Like, so I did it myself, which was its own set of problems and barriers. But not everybody is crazy like I am. I'm willing to do that.
I see what you're saying.
Let me just finish. Let me just finish my point, because I think the fee shifting is important, and I think you're 100% correct that needs to happen. But we also have to recognize this as harm. There are professional codes of conduct. There are federal and state level rules of civil procedure and rules of evidence that are set up to prevent this kind of weaponization. The problem is they're never enforced. And the problem is that, you see, like in my case, it was, well, sure, they, put a witness on the stand that lied, and they lied to get through the process, and we got to this far. But they're litigating civil rights, and civil rights are super important. And we don't want to prevent anybody from litigating civil rights. So, no harm, no foul. Well, no, actually, a lot of fucking harm. There was a lot of harm. My name is forever attached to the KKK because of what did. And there's no recourse for that because civil rights are just so important. Brian and I on book club did Overruled by Neil Gorsuch, The Human Toll of Too Much Law. And it's not just the fact that there is too much law. It's the fact that the law has been twisted and manipulated and weaponized, and institutional actors like the ones that went after you and the ones that went after me know how to manage that process. People like us, we're just figuring it out. But you would think that in a justice system that the principles of justice would be prioritized. Hasn't been my experience that that's what happens. It's quite the opposite. The system protects itself. The bar protects the system, and the lawyers are beholden to the bar, and judges as well, right? So I think we need radical reform and transformation. I agree with you about the fee shifting in the statutes, and we need to prioritize that, make it stronger in the law, but I think we did a hell of a lot more than that.
So I'm going to share something with you guys that I haven't told anybody. The only person who knows this is my wife, actually. When the FBI came to my house and all that happened, if you look at the body cam footage that Politico put out, when I came to the door, I wasn't wearing a shirt. And the reason why is I was sweating like profusely. I was in the middle of a panic attack. And I was having an anxiety panic attack and couldn't breathe. When I came back from, it was like 3 a.m, my wife got me out of jail. I went to go look at the subpoena and read it, and the date on it was wrong. It said like March 10th. It said like Friday, March 10th, but March 10th was actually like a Thursday or something like that on the calendar. And again, the name, they had my name, my dad's name. So the names on it were wrong. The date on it was wrong. And then I called the Barrett courthouse to find out about the room, and that room that was on there didn't even exist. There were just like a lot of administrative errors wrong on the subpoena. And so I had another anxiety attack because like if you have to go testify before a federal grand jury, the most important thing that you need to know is when do you need to be there? Where do you need to be, right? And what do you need to have? 2 of those 3 things were not on the subpoena, right? Wow. And so I had another panic attack. And so I want to say it was like a Wednesday. And by that Friday, I hadn't slept for 2 nights. I have some PTSD from being in the Marine Corps. And so I was looking out the windows because I thought this is a bad subpoena. They're going to come back and do this again. And so, my wife said, you need to go to the VA and talk to them, to the emergency room. You're not sleeping. You're having these, anxiety attacks. And so unfortunately, I listened to my wife, right? I went to the VA hospital. It was like a early Saturday morning, something like that. And they wouldn't, the mental health unit wasn't open. There was only the emergency room. So I'm in the emergency room. And they're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I haven't slept. Looking back on it now, this is funny. Okay, so if you want to laugh, you can laugh. So I'm like, I haven't slept in 3 days because the FBI came to my house and they assaulted my daughter and I. And they gave me a bad subpoena and they're going to come back and do it again. Or I'm afraid they're going to come back and do it again. Well, why is the FBI coming to your house subpoenaing you? Well, I worked for the president, and I know that the 2020 election was rigged, and I have evidence that the FBI was involved, and they knew about January 6th before it happened, and I have proof. All right, okay, Sergeant Floyd.
There you go.
Padded room. To a padded room you go.
Let me go get the doctor. Right?
Cross your arms.
4 years later, right? Let me go get the doctor. So the doctor comes in. I hear you're having some anxiety issues and you work for the president. Tell me about this. And so I tell them the same thing. I work for the president, the FBI. The election was rigged in Georgia. I have proof. They're after me. Okay, all right. And so this nurse comes back in. She's like a bigger black woman, right? And she puts her hand. She's like, "Look here, baby." She goes, I'm going to give you this clipboard, and you're going to go ahead and sign this, and you're going to commit yourself.
The fuck?
You're going to self-commit yourself to the mental health unit here at the VA.
Nope.
You need to sign this, because if you don't, then the VA is going to commit you here, and there's no telling when you're going to get out. If you self-commit, because it's the weekend, you might get out on Monday. But you're going to be here at least through the weekend. And I'm looking at her like, because I know what I know.
You're telling the truth.
I know what I know. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, in my head, this is what made me sign it. Well, I got a 2-year-old and my wife, and at least this is a 24, 48-hour break, right? This is a little rough. So I'm just going to go ahead and sign this. So I signed it, and they pulled back the curtain. There were these 2 big, security officers there, and they grabbed the bed down, and then they take me up to the mental health unit at the VA hospital, and I'm stuck in there throughout the weekend. And so, but the room that I was in, you'll love this, Brian. The room that they put me in is kind of like a barracks room, actually. And the guy who I was in there with was just sleeping. He just was not awake. And it was maybe 12 hours later, the night went by or something like that. And then he woke up and we started talking. He was a Marine, and he was in Iraq the same time I was. And he was like, so, obviously, right? What are you in for? And I told him, and he was like, man, these guys, they'll do anything, won't they? He's like, just keep your head up, Marine. You'll be all right. You don't sound crazy to me. And that's when a light clicked in my head. Okay, I'm in this is the worst place to be, but God put me in here with another Marine, and he understands what I'm saying, but we're both crazy, right? And so it was Monday morning, and the doctor finally shows up, and I'm like, look, I got to get out of here. I have a daughter. I'm the primary caregiver for her. My wife is a teacher. I already know, because I'm still here, that she had to take off work because you guys got to let me out. We'll get to you. We'll talk to you. No, you don't understand. You need to call my wife right now and talk to her. So he's like, begrudgingly, he's like, okay. So he picks up the phone. What's her cell? And I'm hoping that she's going to answer, because she never answers random numbers. So he calls her cell, and I can hear my wife on the other line, and she sounded like Charlie Brown, when they're on the phone. Right. And he's like, I'm Dr. So-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And she just started letting him have it. And he was like, so your husband is saying here, yeah, he worked for the president, and the FBI, and I could just see his face changing as he was looking at me. And that's the second switch flipped in my head, yeah. They ended up letting me out. They ended up letting me out, and they gave me some anxiety medication. But the reason why I'm sharing that with you, Ash, is I understand the impact that this has, not just with the legal fees, but how it affects you emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, how it affects your family, how my kids are going to have to live with this, and my daughter's 5 and my son's 1. They don't even fully understand it now, but they're going to be impacted by it.
Yeah, your wife was pregnant when a lot of this was going on too.
No. So she was pregnant after Fannie tried to take away my bond
during the saga.
Yes,
which is that's it. Stress on a pregnant woman is one thing. This kind of stress is quite something else. The level of harm is out of this world.
So yes, there are especially J6ers who need to be compensated for what took place. But it has to start somewhere. Yeah. And the way our government is just so slow and bureaucratic, it has to start somewhere. And just the right place, I think, to at least start is, if you don't get a positive termination, then you're going to have to pay back legal fees and whatever the expenses associated with it are. And that will at least put a check on them to say, before they come after Ash or Harrison again in the future and try to do something, how clean is this? Because if we don't get this, and if this guy decide to fight this, we're going to have a problem immediately, right?
Yeah.
So that check needs to happen somewhere to at least give them pause, and that does not exist right now. And they're running around and they're doing things like they did.
Yeah, there's no checks on them right now.
Yeah, none at all.
Yeah.
And then when they get fired, like Walter Giardina and Chris Myers, they do a GoFundMe and they claim that they're victims, and then they want to sue the FBI when they know damn well that they were the ones who were in the wrong in the first place. You shouldn't have done the things that you were doing, right? These are people who don't want to be held accountable in any way, shape, or form. So instead of maybe them being directly, okay, you're acting as an agent on behalf of the government is going to have to pay this. So then
it should hit their budgets too, though. I mean, because that's the other thing is that, the government pays. Well, there's some fund that taxpayers are on the hook for that, right? No, it should have a material impact to their ability to do their jobs. Whoa, what you mean that you don't want law enforcement to be no, actually, because it's corrupted to the root,
right?
And yeah,
so it has to start somewhere. So
it has to start with accountability.
100%. It should start with hitting them in the pocket. And if you have a crazy agent out there like Walter Giardina, who's out there throwing charges around that aren't sticking, and it's draining your budget, then what are you going to do? Hey, buddy, give me that badge and that gun. You're going to have to go sit over here for a while because we can't do any of the things that we need to do because we don't have the funds, because you want to play politics. Yep. So
nobody's above the law except for the lawmakers and law enforcement.
Yeah. So
Peter Strzok and Page got payouts. They got over $1.5 million.
And so, and also I want to say, I'm sorry that happened to you, Ash. It shouldn't have.
Thank you.
You were being a good citizen, just out being engaged, and they came after you just being malicious, and it was political. Shouldn't happen, but hey, there's no reason why we can't turn it into something good, right?
Yeah, well, it'll be good when Jenna Griswold goes to prison. So, well, we're working on it. We're working towards that goal. It's a long game, but
yeah.
All right, guys. We got some Rumble rants. Let's get to these before we get some closing thoughts here. Miller Biz says, this is incredible. Thank you. Appreciate that. Harry Vetch, happy to be back. He didn't break the law, allegedly. Time to roll all these mother effers up and get on with it. Amen. Eleanor 2000, CannCon and Ashe, thank you for allowing Harrison to share his story. Much better than the burn. As a Georgian, I was dismayed by how the government contributed to the fraud. Blessing Harrison, and thank you.
Thank you for that. And Patrick Byrne did message me and apologize, and hopefully we can rebook him. So we will work towards that in the future.
All right. Huck Fillery says, keep up the solid work, Harrison. You humble me and give me hope at the same time. CannCon and Ashe as well. Y'all work hard, and I dig that about Chew. CHOO. Thank you. Ditto at Huck Fillery. Thanks, Andrew. Good to see you. Huck Fillery again. Ash, do you think Brickhouse Lean can help with craft beer and wine cravings? Trying to get an idea how much time and product a 20 to 30 pound loss would be. Asking for a friend. Is that friend me?
I don't know about the beer and wine cravings, but it will rev up your metabolism so that your body burns off the beer and wine better. In my experience, not medical advice.
I think it's about me. The beer and wine is definitely about me. It's probably my wife. That's my wife's sock account. Myron 54. Good people here. I wish I could do more, but we all do what we can. God bless y'all. Thank you so much. RSCRIV. God bless you, Harrison. As a mom of 5 children, I would have definitely signed those papers for a weekend off.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah, she gets it. And then no great mind has ever existed without a touch of madness. Aristotle.
Feel better about myself.
Yeah.
We're all mad down here.
There we go. Just a little bit.
Yeah. So Harrison, what's next for you?
So Jack Brewer is like my big brother. I've been working with him with his foundation, Helping Justice Involve Fathers with operations. So I do that. That's what fills basically a lot of my mornings. We're relaunching this litigation fund. So that's going to take up a big chunk of time. In January, I got into William and Mary's executive MBA program. Nice. So I started that in January. And then I also created a company to help veteran entrepreneurs raise capital through tokenized equity offerings using blockchain. And so I mentioned I'm a nerd. So that company got a pretty substantial valuation. And so I'm like torn between, do I want to go back into politics and this thing that I love, or do I want to go deeper into business and figuring all that? I don't know, man. God has just blessed
options.
me. And, you know, and I would really love like a mentor who could help me learn about business and like private equity and finance. That would be like amazing. But whatever God tells me to do is what I'm going to do.
Amen.
And we'll figure out the rest as we go along, because so far being, you know, following the plan and what he has for you has just been amazing. Just like be a part of all this and just see him work and move and do the things he's done. And I just want to see more of it. So whatever that's going to be is what it's going to be. I'm just hoping to stay busy and help people.
Amen.
Harrison for Congress in the chat. Just FYI.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm.
Let's wait until we have a legitimate Congress, and then you can run.
Yeah, if we burn it down and start again, maybe I'll. No, I don't know. Whatever. If God calls me to do that, then it'll be that. I don't see that right now. I'm not hearing or feeling that at all. But thank you. I appreciate that compliment.
Well, Harrison, again, congratulations on being out. So glad to hear this, and I'm so sorry for what this country put you through. You and all your co-defendants and all the other, you know, victims of the lawfare over the last 4 years with that illegitimate administration.
It wasn't the country; it was assholes.
Yeah,
I love my country, and it wasn't the United States. It was people who were doing it, alleging it was on behalf of the United States. So,
there you go. That's fair. So again, thank you, brother. Statesmanproject.com, guys, go donate if you can. Help continue the battle against lawfare. And you know, Harrison, Ashe disclosed the help that he was in her case. So you know it's going to good cause.
We won. That was the first big one.
Heck yeah, we won. Now it's in appeals, and it is now submitted. The appeal is submitted to the court. I'm still defending myself in that action, and Holly still has the same attorneys in the action as well. We're hoping to hear. I was like, you know, kind of very optimistically thinking by Christmas we'll get an answer. It could still happen. It could happen at any time, but it's probably more likely late January, February timeframe that we'll hear something, just based on how these things go. But yeah, it's been quite the journey, and let's
talk. Let me know if there's anything more that let's talk. Let me know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna turn around and sue the shit out of the NAACP, so I'll call you about that.
See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you can just get that first stop right, and then go after them civilly and make them pay for doing it in the first place. NAACP, from what I heard, they got some bread. You know what I'm saying? Some paper.
Yeah.
So let's get that.
Well, nobody involved in their part of the litigation had any idea what the case was about or who was paying, but they all showed up and said they had personal knowledge of my conduct. So
exactly right. Guess what? You got to pay for it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Yes, Harrison, thank you for coming through in the clutch there. I know we were going to do it over on my platform later this evening, but you came through in the clutch, and I deeply appreciate that. It was a shit show for us. I'm not gonna lie, like literally.
Yeah, it would have been a real bitchy show if you hadn't shown up.
We would have just been here like
it'll all work out. God has a plan. You just gotta roll with it, man. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me. I'll come back again whenever you want me, man. Just let me know.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, guys. And again, next week we'll have Kathy Latham on from Coffee County, one of the other co-defendants in this. So be sure to check that show out next Friday. And yeah, Semper Fi, brother. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Yeah. Anytime, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Be safe.
They say confidence starts with a smooth skin. And baby, Soft Disclosure Lotion delivers.
I swear by this stuff. Like, I kid you guys not. This is the first lotion I've ever had in my entire life that, like, I don't get ashy after I put it on any part of my body. Like, my hands are always dry, and my hands have not gotten ashy without, like, rinsing them through water and washing them with soap since I started putting Soft Disclosure on. Like, it is Black Man approved. I kid you not.
Black Man approved. You heard him. And let's be real. If it can handle his hands, it can handle anything.
Feet are like, they get so dry, like the heels of them, it'll just kind of like flake off. Like, but with Soft Disclosure, once you put it on, like it starts to absorb it.
Yeah, he went there. Don't worry, we won't show you his feet, but trust us, they're smoother too. Soft Disclosure lotion is made with aloe, goat's milk, honey, and our exclusive oil blend that actually restores your skin barrier. Visit softdisclosure.com, use code BADLANDS, and get 15% off.